Hey everyone, SweetJohnnyCage here. Welcome to part 1 of my Sekiro Shadows Die Twice full playthrough walkthrough. Sekiro has a lot going on, so this will be a bit of a long intro before we actually get started. Unlike the other modern From Software games, so basically the Souls games and Bloodborne, Sekiro it sort of takes Bloodborne's focus on combat and cranks it up to 11. What I should say is aggressive combat. There are no shields in Sekiro. You only have one weapon. You do get some sub-weapons, and then you get a second weapon later on. But there's no like weapon drops or anything. It's just your sword and some sub-weapons and you. And the game requires you to get good at parrying. Now, with that said, it's not that difficult once you sort of adjust the way you think about this game. The number one, I wouldn't say complaint, but like the number one frustration that a lot of new Sekiro players have is I can't get the parry timing down. Everything is killing me so fast. I hate this game. What I always tell these people is think of it like a rhythm game. Do not think of it like a Souls game, because it is not a Souls game. It borrows certain elements, but it is not a Souls game and should not be played like one. You cannot just hold up the block button and, sort of plow your way through the game. It doesn't work. The game is not designed for you to do that. So if you're trying to do that, you need to adjust. The reason I say think about it like a rhythm game is because the game is so hyper-focused on you learning the deflection or parry times of basically every attack from every enemy. You do have a little bit of wiggle room as you learn new attack patterns, but you will need to learn how to parry. And this requires you to really look at an enemy's hands. And I'm specifically saying hands and not an enemy's weapon. You want to look at their hands, because when their hands start moving towards you, that's when you want to parry. That is actually something that can be taken throughout the entire Souls series, is pay attention to the enemy's hands, not necessarily the weapon all the time. So, enemies in this game often do not attack once. They will attack multiple times before you have a window to attack them. So you need to get really comfortable parrying, and if you treat it like a rhythm game and you do basically all of it on sound, all your timings on sound, then you'll have a much easier time. And I'll explain more as we go. The other thing I want to mention is I did cover this game back in 2019 in depth, but I did not do these full playthrough walkthrough style videos back then. So after Demon Souls Remake, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and Bloodborne, a lot of folks asked, will you cover Sekiro? Not realizing I already did. But it's been a while since I played Sekiro, and with Elden Ring coming out in a few months, I figured, you know what? Let's just wrap up the entire modern From catalog, with I guess the exception of Durasane, which I do own, but I don't know how I would go about making guides for that, it being a VR game. But I figured let's just wrap the whole thing up in a neat little bow and then move into Elden Ring. So that's what we're doing here. Okay, so I haven't played Sekiro since 2019. So we'll see how this goes. There were some updates made to the game, including a boss rush mode, which is really sick. Haven't touched that. And also player messages were added to the game. Player messages were not a thing at launch, so if you are playing this game for the first time today, in 2021, you're going to see a lot of kunai on the floor that are player messages. All right, so as always, excuse me, we're going to skip the cutscenes. So we get Kuro's charm. Excuse me. And we can pick up the ornamental letter, which is an ornamental letter thrown into a well. Kuro's wolf. Your destiny awaits you at the Moonview Tower. Escape from the well and find the tower bathed in moonlight. Even without a blade, you can reach it. Stay silent, stay vigilant. Okay, so one thing I want to mention is that if you turn around from the start, you can swim through this area, and you'll notice an item up there, but we cannot get to it. That should be a clear indicator to you that we're going to get back here at some point. You will eventually get the ability to swim underwater, but not until much later. All right, so in Sekiro, you can actually double jump off of walls, which is very helpful. So here we are in the Ashina Reservoir. We can hug the wall, sneak along like a ninja, and then we are going to sneak through this tall grass. You want to crouch by pressing L3. Now you will notice the conversation happening right here. You want to wait until this conversation is over before moving through. So it's a little bit of world building. The leader says that, the prisoner, which is us, has lost the will to live, and that's because our reward has been taken away from us, and we got captured. I feel like you should have left. Okay. So, at various times throughout the game, in very specific locations, there will be certain guards and NPCs that you can eavesdrop on. Eavesdropping is really helpful. One, it gives you some lore about the world, but it will also give you clues as to hidden treasure or where you should go next.
The moonlight shines strongly on the Moonview tower tonight. The divine heir is probably using the light for his reading stand. Probably, but imprisoning a mere child. I feel sorry for the boy. Not the reader. But I'm sure Lord Genichiro has his reason.
Okay. So, this intro area is pretty linear. We only have really one place to go, and that's the Moonview Tower, bathed in moonlight. So, once you're ready, you want to drop down here. And then we can drop down, shimmy across. And then once you get to a safer place, you can jump back up. Jump over here. Press square to ledge hang. The controls in this game are very different from the rest of the Souls series, so it may take me a few minutes to relearn them. Okay. Then we're going to jump in here and meet our ward, Kuro. So we'll skip the cutscene. And we get the Kusabi Maru, which is our weapon.
I see you are wounded. I have something that may help.
So speaking with Kuro again, he gives us... Oops, we gotta go through the whole thing. He gives us a healing gourd, which is basically this game's Estus flask.
Now then, were you good? After what? Do you not? No, right. There's Lord. I want you to say, I will.
Okay. So, this is a really important choice that we have to make. I can't actually remember if you can undo this choice. Kuro's Charm. It is permanent. Okay, so you can get it back later on. Basically, it makes the game harder, so you take more chip damage. I'm not going to give it away, just because I don't think I'm as good at this game as I used to be. But you can if you like, and it sort of makes the game a little bit harder. All right, so we should put the healing gourd on our quick bar, heal up, and then we're going to unlock the door, and then the game sort of gets started for real. So, Sekiro is a game that is both focused on stealth and action. So, what we can do, I want to see if we can sneak around. I guess not. I was hoping that we could sneak around and I could just... Okay, maybe we can get a backstab. All right, so enemies will sometimes have... Whoops. Enemies will eventually get red balls surrounding them. That is your cue to do an execution. So it's just a one-hit kill at that point. But these are just like fodder. I will spend a lot of time on the boss just to kind of show you how it all works. Because the combat of this game is a little tricky. But you can also jump and just get straight up executions. And it's a lot of fun. The combat of this game is really, really cool. All right. So we have a couple of enemies over here. All right, we're going to aggro the boss here when we do this, but that's okay. I'm going to clear out these enemies. Oops. And then we'll start on the boss. Great. So whenever you parry an enemy, you build their posture bar. Basically, enemies have stamina bars, and so do you. And so as you deflect enemy attacks with L1, you have to press it at the correct time, their posture meter will fill. If it gets completely maxed out, you get an instantaneous execution opportunity, even if they are at full health. So that's really what you're aiming for. You're not aiming to drain enemy life bars like you would in every other modern From Software game. You are instead trying to focus on building their posture bar, filling it up to the maximum, and then getting an instant execution. That's the game. So you're less focused on health, more focused on posture. And like I said before, you always want to look at an enemy's hands instead of their weapon. That will give you a better indication of how you should be, or that'll give you a better indication of what you want to be deflecting. So leader Shigenori Yamauchi is basically like the first mini-boss of the game. He's got a big sword, and you can just sort of like wait for his attacks to get close to you. And the deflection sounds are different depending on your timing. So if you're early versus late, you get a different sound, but if you are perfectly on time, it looks like that. You get a big orange explosion, and it makes a different sound. The other ones are more yellow, so that's orange. I'll try to go early. See, he can deflect yours. Yeah, see, that's just very dull. It's hard to... I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. It's hard to not be perfect. Like, I'm just so trained. Okay, there you go. So that one wasn't perfect. But, like, because I have played this game so many times, it's, like, hard to... Oof. Okay, so when your posture bar gets completely filled, you're basically staggered. And it's, like, an opportunity for enemies to just jump you. But that's it. That's the first mini-boss. So always look at their hands, because sometimes they have very flashy, gradual movement with their weapons, and it can sort of throw off your timing. But if you just look at their hands, once the hand actually moves toward you, that's when you're going to deflect. Okay. So this door is not open from this side, which is my favorite thing to see in a game, because that means you got to find it another way. And also, I will say, in typical Souls fashion, I don't really use items in these games. It's just not my style. There are some cool items, though. So we're going to hug this wall and go across. This game also has excellent music. One of the few From games that actually just has music playing. Oh, God. What just happened? Okay. It's really not what I wanted, but sure. Like I said, I have not played Sekiro in a very long time, so forgive me if I get a touch lost. I know where we're trying to go. I just can't really remember how to get there. I could have sworn it was up here, but I don't know why I fell off that ledge. Okay. Weird. Okay. Oh, right. I never noticed this. Up there, in the top left, you can see that little hat moving. That is an Ashina rat, which is like a colloquial name for an enemy. That's so funny that that's there. I never noticed that before. Those enemies have a lot of lore behind them. That's why I'm like kind of shocked. Interesting. Wow, that's so interesting. Okay. Anyway, there is a save idol here, but we can't actually use it. So when we go to this door, Sekiro uses the reed to call the divine heir. Now that we've cleared the path.
Where shall we go?
Okay, so this is a mandatory boss encounter, and sort of like Demon Souls, you're meant to die to this boss. However, defeating this boss gives you nothing, no extra rewards. The only thing that changes is the cutscene is a tiny bit different, and the boss kills you with a cheap shot. Literally, like something distracts you, you look away, and the boss kills you. That said, I'm going to do my best here, see how it goes. I really have no idea how this is going to go, though. We'll see. But you are 100% supposed to die to this guy. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I shouldn't have even tried to hit him. So our arm gets chopped off. And then we wake up in the sculptor's hut. And we get the shinobi prosthetic. So we speak with the sculptor. And I always recommend exhausting all the dialogue with everybody, because it will generally open up new options. Okay, so let's go ahead and save. And we're actually not going to go very far. We're going to actually end the walkthrough before we proceed, or before we go much further. But this is the sculptor's idol. So we have, I'll explain what goes on here. So we have prayer beads. 4 prayer beads increases your vitality. Wait, I'm almost positive of this. Prayer beads, Sekiro. Prayer beads. Yes. Upgrade Sekiro's maximum vitality and posture. Great. And there are a total of 40. In New Game Plus, any prayer beads that you've already picked up just turn into money. Memories. Let's just look this up because I think these actually changed. Can be consumed at an idol to increase attack power, raising vitality damage and posture damage dealt. Right, okay. And then the icon under that are charms. The charms are used for your sub-weapons. You can carry a maximum of 15 at a time, and those automatically replenish whenever you rest. In the bottom right, that is Sen, which is currency in this game. However, unlike the previous games, it's not technically a Souls game, but I'm going to say that a lot. Like in the Souls games, when you die, you lose currency. However, in Sekiro, you can't get it back. There's no bloodstain mechanic. Once you die, you lose currency. That's kind of just how it goes. But you get currency really fast. Basically, every enemy drops it. In the top right corner, we have Unseen Aid. Unseen Aid has a percentage chance to kick in. And what Unseen Aid does is if it kicks in, it'll kick in when you die, and then what happens is that you do not lose any sen when you revive, or when you start again. So it's kind of a weird, bizarre mechanic. I think the maximum it can go is like 50% or something like that. Let me just look. There are some ways to increase it, I think. Provides a chance of preventing the player from losing any sen or experience upon awakening from true death. True death occurs when the user respawns at an idol, either because they do not have a resurrection charge available or choose death deliberately. Normally, death penalizes the player with loss of 50% of their sen and 50% of their progress towards the next skill point. When Unseen Aid activates, it removes that penalty. Things that modify Unseen Aid. The base percentage chance of receiving Unseen Aid is 30% and cannot be increased. Incurring Dragon Rot by dying too many times causes the Unseen Aid to decrease. Okay, got it. So 30% is the max, but it can go down. I'll explain Dragon Rot in the next part of the walkthrough because it's not important now. Oh, it's not messages, it's deaths? These are like bloodstains, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, there is an NPC over here who is a living, breathing training dummy. So you can speak with this guy, and he'll ask you to face him in battle, which we can do. And we kill him. But then he just comes back to life. He is immortal.
Still alive.
And he hates that he cannot die. So he is undying.
Very well.
And you can train with him to do all sorts of things. Let me just look up Hanbei because I believe he gives you an item. Gives you a hidden tooth. Okay. There is a way to kill him, but not until much later in the game when you get your second sword. When you get your second sword, revisit Hanbei, and you can kill him permanently. And doing that will give you a hidden tooth, which can be used to basically like trigger death, which allows you to sort of resurrect and trick enemies.
Come back, whatever. If you have
Okay. So this box here, the offering box, says items that become unavailable elsewhere end up in the offering box. When the box is illuminated, it means an item has found its way inside. Items can be obtained by inspecting the box and offering money. So basically, there's a bunch of items that become available here. Let me just look this up. Yeah, so there are items that may become inaccessible that you can like miss. If that happens, just visit the box and then you can get the items back. You just got to pay for them. But this is basically the hub of the game for the most part. And that's kind of it. So over here, right here, there is a hidden pathway, but we can't actually use it just yet. So it is sealed from the other side. And they're sort of like ninja doors. Like you lean up against it and it brings you somewhere else. Sort of like a warp. Pretty cool concept. But yeah, I think that'll do it for part 1 here. I know this is a relatively short part, but this is just meant to cover the intro. So in the next part of the walkthrough, we will fight the first major boss of the game, which is Gyobu Mesataka Oniwa. Yeah, that is the first major huge boss of the game. It's sort of a long journey to get there. It is a lot of fun, and we're going to spend a lot of time in the combat. Now, be aware that you sort of have a choice of where you want to go at this point. you can, I mean, the only direction you can go is straight, but you will run into an NPC who will give you an item that allows you to transport yourself somewhere else. So you kind of have a choice between what you want to do, but we will go straight to Gyobu, and then we will visit that other place. But we'll cover that in the next portion of the walkthrough. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Like I've said in this video several times, the combat of Sekiro is very different and takes a while to get used to. Think of it like a rhythm game and watch your opponent's hands, and you will have a much easier time. Or not necessarily easier, but you'll just get the hang of it quicker. And let me tell you something. When you get the hang of this game's combat, you will feel so good because you start to like look at it differently. And it just, you start to pay attention to animations more, and it just looks so smooth all the time. This game really is a marvel, in my opinion, because they got so focused on combat, less on like mysterious lore and, you know, gigantic world with tons of different environments. Like, not to say that the world of Sekiro isn't big, it is quite large, but you know what I mean? Like, Dark Souls worlds and Bloodborne are just so steeped in their mythos. Sekiro is just like Edo era Japan. I think it's Edo era. That's kind of it, with some spooky elements, but yeah. Okay, that'll do it for now. Stay tuned for part 2, and if you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll do my best to help you out. For more Sekiro guides, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get alerted when new guides go live. If you're interested in supporting monetarily, click the blue join button below to become a channel member. And yeah, that's it. All right, as always, I'm SweetJohnnyCage. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.